Hello, everyone. We continue with the Nature of God series, and this article is called Good and Evil. A couple of years ago, I wrote an article on the same topic. And when I wrote the article, I believe I was trying so hard to be philosophical that it had such absurd theories about the concept of good and evil. And years later, I tried to write on the same topic again, and I certainly didn't want to repeat the same mistake. To ensure that I didn't do the same thing, I sent this article to people I trust to review it before I include it in the series. I wanted to be very careful because teaching people the wrong things, especially when you're talking about spirituality, can be very dangerous. This article will try to answer the following questions. When did the battle between good and evil really start? And was mankind created with the capability of doing evil? If so, does it not show that there was a flaw in God's plan? Let me share what I believe. I'll try to answer the second question first because I think it will lead me to the answer of the first question. So, to the issue, was mankind created with the capability to do evil? I believe the question itself is sometimes wrongly misinterpreted. I say that because when people ask this question, they are usually suggesting that when God created mankind, He also installed a rebellious nature in them, so that they were capable of sin from the very start. If that is true, then God has no right to punish us when we sin because, well, He's the one who created us who's the one who created us like that in the first place. The problem this brings is it questions the nature of God, that God is just and God is fair. I'm not saying that mankind didn't have a capability to sin. They did. But not because God installed a rebellious nature in them. No. They had the capability to sin because of the idea of free will, something that we talked about in the last article. When one is given a choice, there's a probability that they might make a bad one. Thus, mankind had the capability to sin not because God installed a rebellious nature in them, but because there was free will. I also believe that God created mankind with the capability to do good. Adam and Eve did not even know what good or evil was. Thus, it was just in their nature to do good. They didn't even know that what they were doing was called good. I say this because in the Bible it is recorded that the fruit of the tree that Adam and Eve ate from was the tree that gave them knowledge between good and evil. Genesis 3:22. If this idea is hard to comprehend, just think of a child who is a few weeks old, a child who does not know anything about good and evil. These two things don't exist in the child's world, and that's how Adam and Eve were. So, why did God create mankind without the knowledge of good and evil? This is what I think. I believe that they did not know about good and evil because God did not want them to fall under the burden of the law. What do I mean by that? I'll try so hard not to philosophize too much about this. But Paul puts it clearer than I ever could in Romans 7:7 when he says, the law itself is not sinful, but it sort of brings the bad out of people. This is exactly what it says. I would not have known what sin was were it not for the law, for I would not have known what coveting really was if the law had not said, do not covet. We all have been in the rebellious sin phase. Let me ask you this. What made us even more rebellious? Rules. The more rules we had, the bigger our desire was to break them. But after talking a lot about free will and choice in the last article, doesn't this seem like a contradiction? If God cares so much about free will, why didn't He tell Adam and Eve about good and evil? Well, it doesn't necessarily contradict with the idea of choice and free will. Because if God wanted to do away with choice altogether, He would have hidden the tree from sight. And if mankind had no knowledge of good and evil, And if the tree was non-existing and was not visible, then choice and free will not be there. However, he placed the tree in the middle of the garden and told them not to eat it. So, to some extent, Adam and Eve knew good and evil through obedience and disobedience. That's when they disobeyed God, they not only got to know the distinction between good and evil, they actually experienced it. Because by disobeying what God had told them, they had done bad. Thus, one commandment was set so that free will would be in practice. It wouldn't make sense if there was free will and there was not even one commandment which distinguished what should and what shouldn't be done. Now, some have asked, did God lie when he told them that they should not eat from the tree because if they did, they would die? No, he did not. Because the Bible clearly states that the wages of sin is death. And we should always remember that death came about after they disobeyed God. And there's also spiritual death. They lost a spiritual connection with God. And this is something that I might consider expounding into another article. I'm not sure about that yet. But this topic is so complicated, and I tried to explain it to the best of my knowledge. And I tried so hard to avoid philosophizing about the issue, because the last time I did it didn't work so well. But as usual, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any question, post it in the comment. Thank you.